Now at 9, a suspect in the armed robbery of an area Subway restaurant is arrested.
The Auschwitz photography exhibit at PSU showcases the horrors still left behind from the camp. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with why local Jewish community members say it's still important to learn about this dark part of history.
And we'll learn why hundreds of cyclists made their way to Grove, Oklahoma today.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. Authorities arrest a suspect following a Subway restaurant burglary. Police Tuesday responded to a report of an armed robbery at the Subway restaurant at Stone's Corner in Airport Drive. The suspect left the scene in a Chrysler 300. Wednesday afternoon, authorities in Mayes County, Oklahoma chased the car along I-44, then on State Highway 20. During the chase, the suspect went into oncoming traffic, then stopped west of Pryor, Oklahoma, got out and ran. Authorities today say they've arrested Taylor Yahola of Oklahoma City without incident in Joplin. They say the investigation is ongoing and additional people related to that robbery could be charged. Let's check in with Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good Friday for us today. We had some scattered showers and thunderstorms during the morning hours, and then just partly cloudy skies most of the day. Nice shot of our tower cam. Of course, the daylight hours continuing to extend. 84 is where we topped out. 65 is where we started during the morning. We have had some isolated little thunderstorms, mainly across central Missouri, so mainly just east of the region. We could get 1 or 2 guys popping up in our eastern counties, but most of you are going to be dry as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. What about the weekend? We'll look at that here in just a bit.
And then, the horrors of the Holocaust during World War II should never be forgotten. A photography exhibit at PSU showcasing what's left of Auschwitz may give people a better understanding of the atrocities of the concentration camps. KOIM's Bronte Sorotsky has more.
While the horrors of the Holocaust may seem like a distant part of history, it was less than a century ago. It's why some members of the Jewish community say they want to see more awareness.
Kids today, their parents, even their grandparents, wouldn't necessarily have heard that much about it. So that's one important reason. I think we have to be reminded of one of these central episodes of the 20th century.
PSU's Bicknell Center is hosting a limited Auschwitz photography exhibit showing what remains of the camp. Photographer Oren Henriksen says the photos taken in black and white depict brutal inhumanity. He claims these images are not meant to be documentary. It's his professional expression of impressions he made spending a week at Auschwitz camps 1 and 2.
Not a lot of people that physically witnessed this themselves are alive to tell their story. And just because they're not here to tell us that story doesn't mean that it needs to just disappear.
Tevero, a member of the United Hebrew congregation, says it's something his family was always familiar with that was passed on to him.
I grew up in the shadow of World War II. My father was a veteran. My mother worked in a munitions factory. They had heard about what was going on in Germany and then in the occupied countries. So I grew up hearing about that. We're 80 years away.
Most striking was one of the final images in the exhibit, an entrance to the gas chambers.
Particularly one towards the end, because most of them, they look like almost any other detention prisoner of war camp. But then you see the one with the doors to the gas chamber, and that tells you this is something different. This isn't just another version of man's inhumanity to man. This is a unique episode in world history.
In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The Auschwitz photography exhibit will remain at the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts at PSU through June 30th. The city of Miami, Oklahoma is selling some of its surplus equipment. The online auction began today, runs through June 20th. Items up for sale include printers, filing cabinets, tire changer and balancing equipment, even a hydraulic excavator. Winning bidders will be able to pick up their items at Miami City Hall, and you can find a link to the auction on our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Come and Go is about to leave some of its Joplin area stores for good. The convenience store chain is selling both of its Webb City locations and 4 of its 6 Joplin locations to White Oak Station convenience stores. The company says the service location is no longer aligned with its long-term plans for expansion and continued store enhancement. The locations at 3434 South Rangeline and 5002 South Main will still remain as Come and Goes. The Oklahoma State Department of Health has identified its first probable case of monkeypox. The state's working with the CDC to confirm the infection with a central Oklahoma resident. They say the person had recently traveled internationally to a country with confirmed cases. The individual is currently in isolation, and OSDH officials are working to complete contact tracing so they can find if anyone has been exposed to them. Hundreds of bicyclists today visited Grove, Oklahoma as a part of an annual trip. The 43rd edition of Oklahoma Freewheel is going on, and KOIM photojournalist Ty Parks went along for the ride.
Oklahoma Freewheel, we're a cross-state bicycle tour of Oklahoma. We've been going on since 1979.
Not pedaling.
Just a bunch of people from all over the country, actually all over. We have Canadians with us. We have 26 different states represented. And just riding their bikes across Oklahoma, seeing some of the smaller towns, seeing the sights that you see on a bicycle when you go slow.
Good exercise, and you get to meet all kinds of people, and it's a lot of fun sitting around camp talking to people about what you did on your ride during the day and what you ate. You remember what you ate probably more than anything else at each town. It kind of keeps you going. It's quite a challenge because there's nothing better. It's like that feeling when you make it.
I think you go until you don't think you can do it, and then you push past that, and it's like, oh, I can't, I'm doing it. I still don't think I can do it while I'm doing it, and it's happening. It's like it's an out of body kind of experience. It's really emotional and spiritual and physical. It's all of everything combined.
The route for the event changes every year, but typically begins near the Red River and ends just across the Kansas state line. KOIM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Greg Crowder served in the U.S. Marine Corps during the early 1990s. The Gentry, Arkansas native was stationed in Hawaii, and we salute Corporal Greg Crowder, a 4-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later NFL wide receiver Tyreek Hill comes to Joplin for a youth football camp. We're going to hear from Hill in sports.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a decent Friday for us today. We had some showers, we had some thunderstorms early this morning, and then partly sunny skies, but temperatures really heating up over the next few days. Plus, of course, this time of the year, you get the humidity usually as well. Now, we do still have some rain chances, but a much drier overall pattern as we head into the next week, which is good news. Of course, if you want my long-range forecast, go to my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, fairly comfortable. We're sitting mid to upper 70s, Missouri, Arkansas, much of the same Oklahoma, a little bit warmer once you get into southeastern Kansas, but it looks great. Here's 7th, here's range line. Still, it's not even pitch dark yet. 77 winds, pretty much calm, humidity 84%. We may get a little bit of patchy fog in here later on tonight, so be careful if you are going to be on the roadways. All right, all those showers, thunderstorms we had earlier today, of course, gone. We do have some isolated thunderstorms popping up, mainly just east of us. You can see from tracking from Kansas City, Harrisonville, down toward Butler, and then over toward Truman Lake, and then Lake of the Ozarks. We could get a few isolated guys in our far northeastern counties, so Nevada, El Dorado Springs, Stockton, down toward Greenfield, maybe even Lamar. Just kind of a hit and miss storm over the next couple hours, but in general, we're mainly drying out. Not a whole bunch going on out to the west. We still have these waves trying to rotate in, which could give us some chances for scattered thunderstorms by the time we head into tomorrow night. But in general, we're dominated by this big dome of high pressure, and it really just kind of meanders its way over the next week, kind of south of us, goes southeast, but it keeps all the big storm systems to our north. And as long as the high pressure is around, we don't get a lot of rain. And really high pressure in the summer means hot, humid across the region. That's what we're going to see. All right, tonight a few isolated thunderstorms to our northeast, and then we really warm up. We'll go into lower 90s for highs for us tomorrow. 68 to start, 85 by noon. High temp, 90 south winds, 5 to 10. Some areas may hit 92, 93 degrees. We're going to watch tomorrow night. An MCS, another one, big complex of storms, will develop near Kansas City and press south. This will affect really from the Lake of the Ozarks, Truman Lake, and then our Missouri counties could get clipped by this from Nevada, Stockton, Mount Vernon, Monette, and then down toward Table Rock. So we do need to watch that tomorrow night. It's gone by Sunday morning. There is a slight chance we may get a few showers in here Sunday afternoon, but really heating up as we go into the 90s for highs. So heat indices will start climbing as well. Near 100 for us tomorrow, and then about 105 on Sunday. 90 tomorrow, 93 Sunday, 94 on Monday, holding lower 90s through next week. And hit and miss chances for showers and thunderstorms.
Wow, it's been a lot of hit lately. It'll be missed for a little while. Thanks.
It will be.
If your signal of KOAM or Fox 14 becomes kind of glitchy next week, that's actually a sign of progress. We're going to be broadcasting from a lower temporary antenna for a while a crew installs a new, more technically advanced antenna at the top of our tower. It's the final step in our More Power project. This is going to allow some viewers who previously lost our signal to get us once again. And if all goes to plan, we're going to be back up and stronger than ever by the end of June. Coming up, a federal report on inflation.
The May inflation report confirms what many Americans are feeling, that things are quickly getting more expensive. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have the latest reaction to the numbers coming up.
Price of everything just keeps going up and there's no end in sight. That's the takeaway from today's inflation data, which is triggering talk of more interest rate hikes and fear of a recession. Reporter Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
On the heels of another record inflation report, President Biden reacted from the Port of Los Angeles.
I understand Americans are anxious, and they're anxious for good reason. And I'm going to work with anyone, Democrat, Republican, Independent, to deliver real solutions for families.
The May Consumer Price Index showed an 8.6% increase year over year. That staggering inflation rate is hurting Americans' confidence in the economy.
It's not temporary. It's not transitory. It's causing real hardship for people. And it seems to me the Biden administration has no strategy now to deal with it.
According to the Labor Department, the price of groceries, staples like eggs, meat, and milk are all up double-digit percentages from a year ago.
I think what they're doing is they're buying what they need, not what they want.
Gas is now just cents away from $5 a gallon on average across the country. Many states are already over that.
Oh, it's hurting me. It's hurting me bad.
The administration says they are staying out of the Federal Reserve's way as they raise interest rates to try to bring down inflation.
The president is focused on lowering costs for families, reducing the deficit, respecting the independence of the Fed, because he recognizes those are strategies to address inflation.
President Biden also called on Congress to crack down on global shipping companies, blaming them for drastically hiking their prices, which are ultimately passed along to the consumer. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Still ahead, reaction to yesterday's primetime hearing.
January 6th committee holds its first primetime hearing about what they've uncovered from last year's Capitol riot. I'm Rich Edson in Washington. I'll have reaction coming up.
Several gun safety troops gathered in Washington, D.C. today to demand passage of gun control legislation. They're responding to multiple deadly mass shootings over the past few weeks. Tomorrow, thousands are expected to rally in the nation's capital and all around the country. That event will be led by March for Our Lives, which was founded by a group of survivors from the 2018 Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School mass shooting in Parkland, Florida. A day after the January 6th committee held its first primetime hearing, reaction is pouring in about what the panel uncovered about the riot at the Capitol last year. The committee is pointing the finger directly at former President Trump, accusing him of an attempted coup. Meantime, the findings are being heavily criticized by Republicans. Reporter Rich Edson has a closer look from Washington.
On a West Coast trip, President Biden highlighted last night's congressional hearing into the January 6th Capitol attack.
It's important to the American people to understand what truly happened and to understand that the same forces that led January 6th remain at work today.
The House Select Committee unveiled dramatic video of violent confrontations between rioters and police.
We need to hold the doors of the Capitol.
Capitol Police Officer Caroline Edwards, injured in the attack, described the violence.
I saw friends with blood all over their faces. I was slipping in people's blood.
The 9-member panel played testimony from those closest to former President Trump, including former Attorney General Bill Barr, who dismissed the president's claims of voter fraud. Even the president's daughter, Ivanka, said she accepted Barr's assessment. The committee argues the president orchestrated a 7-part plan to overturn the election.
President Trump engaged in a massive effort to spread false and fraudulent information to convince huge portions of the U.S. population that fraud had stolen the election from him. This was not true.
Some Republicans call the committee a distraction.
I think the country sees it for what it is. It's a partisan political committee that the American people are focused on a whole lot of other issues.
Some Democrats are skeptical any of the findings will change the minds of their Republican colleagues.
I believe many of them know exactly what Donald Trump did. I believe many of them were part of this conspiracy.
The committee will hold more hearings this month, with 3 scheduled next week. In Washington, Rich Edson, Fox News.
Up next, NASA is forming a team to study all those unexplained objects in the sky. NASA is assembling a team to study unidentified aerial phenomena, what used to be called UFOs. The agency says it wants to know more about phenomena that can't be identified as aircraft or any known natural phenomena. It says it's interested because of national security and air safety and notes there is no evidence that they are alien in nature. The study begins in early fall, expected to take about 9 months. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Miami holding a meeting to discuss flooding concerns within the city. I'm Chris Warner with that story.
Plus, going to learn about a music festival at a 4 states landmark. The city of Miami, Oklahoma this evening held a town hall meeting to discuss flooding concerns in the city and hear from residents. KOIM's Chris Warner was at that meeting and has more.
311 floods, 456 plaintiffs, one devastated region. The city of Miami has been hit with deluge after deluge of water, most recently in 2019 with a catastrophic flood in 2007. That's why folks like Rebecca Jim came to the town hall the city hosted.
It's vital for mental health, for their own security. They need to speak up. They need to let the federal agencies, the state agencies, understand that their lives matter, their property is important.
Mayor Bless Parker says the city invited representatives from the Grand River Dam Authority and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to attend the meeting and listen to resident concerns.
Of course, we can't make anyone come, but we want everybody here because our citizens can get the right answers if both sides are here.
Neither agency sent a representative. Mayor Parker says they need GRDA to work with them to solve the problem.
When it comes to GRDA and the city, we need to be partners. We need to figure this out together for the citizens that are being affected. So the city's open. We're open to be partners. We need GRDA to come with us and let's be partners and do what's right for the citizens.
There's a series of suits and actions taking place to try and force a solution to the problem. One of the suits dates back to 2008, following the major flood we mentioned in 2007. That suit claims the GRDA's operation of the Pensacola project caused repetitive flooding for the area. Larry Bork is representing the 456 plaintiffs in that suit, looking to recover costs from the damage that flood left behind.
This case has about 50 million of damages just because it's such a larger case and it was a larger flood, so a broader area was flooded.
Bork says he's spoken with an individual who's an engineer who allegedly told the GRDA the Pensacola project was causing the flooding, but the GRDA pushed back, saying it wasn't possible. Bork says he feels the case against the GRDA is strong.
If you get GRDA and ask them the right question, they have to admit that there is significant flooding in the city of Miami that is caused by Pensacola project. And if they don't admit that, then you need to question where those answers are coming from.
In Miami, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
While representatives from GRDA were not at the meeting, they did provide this statement. Quote, the Grand River Dam Authority continues to operate Grand Lake in compliance with its operational license. The United States Army Corps of Engineers directs floodgate operations under the Federal Flood Control Act of 1944. While operating Grand Lake under this license and abiding by these laws, GRDA has a strong commitment to long-term solutions that benefit all parties, including our electric customers, the recreating public, and the people of Oklahoma. If you're a lover of music, then you might want to take a trip to Big Brutus. The giant landmark in West Mineral, Kansas is the host site for the Big Iron Overland Rally. The outdoor festival features food trucks, family activities, and of course those musical acts. The idea is to relax and leave the worries at home.
Stage, and there's 15 kids down there kicking a ball around and playing basketball and just having a great time. They didn't know who each other was until they got here. And that's what I love, that we get people out here and they just forget about the problems out there in the world and they enjoy life the way they should.
The event continues through Sunday till 4 p.m. Ticket prices range from $25 to $135. Pregnant women with COVID-19 may be more likely to have babies who develop neurodevelopmental disorders in their first year of life. Researchers looked at the health records of more than 7,000 babies. They found 6% of those whose mothers had COVID-19 during pregnancy were diagnosed with neurodevelopmental disorders within 12 months of birth. That's compared with only 3% of infants whose mothers were not COVID positive during pregnancy. The Biden administration is lifting one of the last remaining COVID-related federal mandates, and the travel industry couldn't be happier. Reporter Charles Watson has more from Atlanta.
Traveling overseas is about to get a lot easier. The Biden administration announcing Friday it is lifting the requirement that international air travelers take a COVID test within a day of boarding their flights to the U.S., with experts from the CDC saying the mandate is no longer necessary. The White House says they'll reevaluate in 90 days and it could be reinstated depending on the spread of new variants. But for now, it's a big win for the travel industry. The U.S. Travel Association writing in part, quote, today marks another huge step forward for the recovery of inbound air travel and the return of international travel to the United States. And it's also welcome news for international travelers who have often struggled to understand the rules.
Nobody is really helping us. They've just given us a page with some documentation about there's a lot of information. It's just we don't really know what our options are.
Meanwhile, the White House is also preparing to make a big push to get kids 6 months to 5 years old vaccinated, with federal approval expected as early as next week. Doctors and health officials already working to get the word out that the vaccines are safe and carry significantly less risk than getting COVID.
We don't ever want people to take COVID lightly because there's still a lot of unknowns. So what's the long-term impact? There's the risk of having long-haul symptoms.
An administration official tells Fox News that the international travel mandate expires Sunday at midnight. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
A bit later, a rise in crypto crime.
Do you have your money in crypto? Are you ready to protect that digital money? I'm Eben Brown in Miami. I'll have tips on how to do that straight ahead.
Not bad for us today after we had some morning showers and thunderstorms, but the temperatures are really going to heat up over the next few days. Plus, the humidity starts to kick in, but the overall pattern is much drier over the next week. We still have some rain chances, but drier than what we've seen over the past several weeks. Most of us right now, we're sitting mid to upper 70s. We'll drop back upper 60s a little bit later on tonight. Looks good right now. We have partly to mostly clear skies, 77. Humidity is kind of high, so we do need to watch out for a little bit of patchy fog as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. But we look pretty good. We do have some isolated thunderstorms out across central Missouri and some of these are clipping our eastern counties. So you can see from Kansas City, Harrisonville, down toward Butler. So the areas that could pick up a scattered shower from Nevada, El Dorado Springs, Stockton, but most of these a little bit farther east once you get into central Missouri. Besides that, we look pretty good. There's not a whole bunch going on out toward the west, but we still have these waves kind of rotating around a big dome of high pressure. And what that's going to do is still give us some rain chances as we head into the weekend. But as long as this guy hangs around, it means hot and humid as we go through next week. It also blocks up the pattern. You can see here's next Wednesday, jet stream across the northern plains. So we don't get a whole bunch of rain. And also it mainly warms up into the 90s as we go through most of next week. Let's break this down. Let's go through time for us tonight. Any isolated thunderstorms east, these are gone by the time we head into the morning. We heat up near 90 for a high tomorrow. In fact, here's your day planner. 68 to start, 85 by noon. High temp right around 90, could be 92 in spots. Southerly winds are going to be light at about 5 to 10. Then we need to focus our attention to the north. MCS, or AKA Big Batch of Storms, will get going tomorrow evening. Here's 9 p.m. We need to see how far east this goes, but the latest model runs have been showing this a little bit farther west. So Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton, we need to see if this gets into the region late evening into the overnight hours. The higher chance is going to be on the Missouri side. These will push through. And then most of Sunday looks pretty good. We may get a random scattered shower, thunderstorm in here by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. Now that humidity is going to start to go up. Heat indices tomorrow, upper 90s to about 100. Heat indices even higher by the time we head into Sunday, about 105 during the afternoon. So if you are going to be outside, make sure you drink plenty of water. 90 tomorrow, 93 on Sunday, 94 on Monday. Holding into the lower 90s all of next week with slight chances for thunderstorms.
Okay, wow. Too much rain, not enough rain, too much.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah. The official first day of summer isn't until June 21st, but obviously already much of the country is getting hot, 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 including around here soon. Reporter Kevin Cork has a look at a unique landscaping trend tackling the climate crisis in the wake of record droughts.
It's hot out here. And for much of the southwest and western United States, the mercury is only going to keep skyrocketing. The National Weather Service now placing more than 30 million people across spans of Arizona, California, and Nevada under heat alerts for portions of the upcoming weekend. Forecasters expect many local temperatures will surpass 100 degrees, with Death Valley expected to hit 120 and Las Vegas gunning for 109 degrees. Officials warn the extreme heat could be life-threatening.
It's not just the homeless population that is in danger. We know that a lot of other people are also very vulnerable, including older adults, people on fixed incomes. Maybe they cannot have the AC running all day.
Besides causing public health concerns, insane temperatures and record drought are also inspiring more homeowners to replace their grass lawns with artificial turf as the climate crisis depletes critical water supplies.
We like real grass, but you realize how much water it takes to, keep your grass green, and all of that water and the runoff and everything else is just not necessary.
Health officials say now is the time to make sure your air conditioning systems are up and running, and they stress the importance of staying hydrated with water, avoiding alcohol and caffeinated beverages, which, believe it or not, can make you prone to dehydration. I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
Coming up in sports, Oklahoma softball claims back-to-back national championships. Plus, local athletes get the chance to hit the field with NFL wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Jacob Leonard has that story and more up next.
Well, local youth football players get the chance to learn from an NFL player this afternoon in Joplin. And Dolphins wide receiver and former Kansas City Chief Tyreek Hill hosts a football camp today at Joplin High School. Our own Danny Terzer has more.
Y'all ready?
Today is a day these kids will never forget.
He was my favorite player, like a role model and everything.
My mom's a Chiefs fan, my whole family's Chiefs fans. It's pretty great to see him.
Former Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill is in Joplin today hosting a one-day youth camp.
Any chance I can, come out, be a spotlight in a kid's life, push the game forward. I'm always about it.
Hill was traded to the Dolphins this offseason after spending the first 6 seasons of his career in Kansas City.
I'm a retired Chief, baby, no matter what, because they're the only team that believed in me when nobody else believed in me.
Hill says the community and fans in Kansas and Missouri will always be special to him.
Coming back here, it's like home for me. I got drafted here. I feel like I became a man here, so it feels great. I'm always gonna always come back and give back to the community of Kansas City.
Hill is already fulfilling that promise.
I need y'all to be good listeners. I need y'all to compete. I need y'all to give everything that y'all got today. Can y'all do that for me?
The camp consists of lectures, contests, and a chance for these local athletes to learn from their favorite NFL player.
It's pretty awesome. He dabbed me up and everything. It was cool. I'm loving it here.
I just want to see the game continue to evolve. So that's why I'm here, to teach these kids about being competitive, teach these kids about, speed and stuff like that. So you can have all the talent in the world, but a good listener is always a winner in my book, So just being coachable, listening to small details and just adding it to your game, because I feel like anybody can play football. All you got to do is just put your mind to it.
In Joplin, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Now, today's camp was the third of 4 camps for Tyreek Hill in the 4-state area. The final camp is scheduled for Sunday in Columbia, Missouri. The Joplin Outlaws have played 6 games so far this summer. The Outlaws are an even 3-3 after last night's road win over the Sedalia Bombers. Now, tonight, Joplin on the road again, aiming for back-to-back wins, this time facing the Chillicothe Mudcats. That one still going. They're in the top of the 6th. Right now, Joplin trails 9-6. The Oklahoma Sooners won the Women's College World Series championship last night. The Sooners beat the Texas Longhorns 10-5 in Game 2 of their 3-game series to earn the national title. Now, for Oklahoma, it's their 2nd straight national championship, their 4th in 6 years, and the 6th national title in program history. Last night's game, also the final collegiate game for Sooners senior Jocelyn Allo. Allo is definitely one of the best to ever do it, finishing her career with a national record 122 home runs.
I came into this game very stubborn and thought that it was all about me. And I came in as a girl and now I'm leaving as a woman. And I'm just happy to be having that mentality going out into the real world. I'll still be playing softball though, so it's all good. But I think that I've definitely left my mark. I'm just excited to see what little girl's going to work hard out there to come and break my record.
That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
If you invest in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, now might be a good time to add an extra layer of security, with the feds reporting a big uptick in crypto crime over the past 12 months. Reporter Eben Brown has more.
It has been a turbulent year for cryptocurrency, with prices fluctuating wildly and crypto crime on the rise. In 2021, thieves stole about $11 billion worth of Bitcoin and other online currencies, 5 times as much as in 2020. Criminals are also increasingly targeting both large companies and infrastructure. The Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack resulted in a multi-million-dollar payout.
Ransomware is a huge issue, and last year we saw some massive demand. We've seen an escalation of demand. So that's the extortion part of it.
Individual scams are also on the rise. An estimated 34 million Americans own cryptocurrency, and its payment value is expected to spike about 70% this year alone, prompting officials to urge users to watch out for scammers, ignore unsolicited emails and messages, and if you own a lot of crypto, get yourself a vault.
Consider holding some of that in cold storage, holding it offline, so that the key to that investment, in effect, you're putting it in your safe at home.
Ultimately, cryptocurrency isn't going away, and neither will crypto crime. Experts predict a big uptick in regulations as lawmakers work to bring crypto out of the shadows.
It's anonymized to the person. And unfortunately, because of that anonymization, it's the currency of choice for cyber criminals.
Now on Tuesday, the Justice Department released a new report calling on the U.S. to share more information about crimes related to cryptocurrency. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Coming up, going to check out this week's movie releases, including the latest installment in the Jurassic Park franchise. A giant franchise film looks to take over the box office this week, and an Adam Sandler-led sports drama joins streaming choices. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with a look at new releases.
A familiar franchise returns to theaters with Jurassic World Dominion. The story roars to an epic-scale conclusion with the prehistoric creatures now roaming the globe.
Genetic power has now been unleashed.
Longtime fans of the franchise and newer viewers all have on-screen reunions in store as decades of dinos convene with Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Sam Neill, joined by Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard for the adventure.
I don't like what's happening with my body.
This sci-fi horror, Crimes of the Future, expands to screens nationwide. David Cronenberg's creation features Viggo Mortensen and Kristen Stewart. The film is set where the human species is adapting to a synthetic environment, and a performance artist is showcasing the metamorphosis.
Being the guy who finds the guy matters in this business.
Included in streaming releases, Netflix adds the Adam Sandler-led sports drama Hustle, about a down-on-his-luck basketball scout who finds a once-in-a-lifetime player and together go for a spot in the NBA.
Here's to killing monsters.
Also on Netflix, it's Vampire vs. Vampire Hunter in Season 1 of the teen drama short story turned series First Kill.
This is a good day.
It is a good day.
The crew of Hulu's The Orville release a new episode of their sci-fi series.
And I am very excited for everyone to meet the real me.
And the craziness of the boys continues as Prime Video drops a new episode of Season 3.
People love superpowers.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of baby pandas at a Chinese zoo. Let's make it a great tomorrow.